Welcome to the Agency Insider podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Adriaan Dekker, a renowned Google Ad freelancer from Rotterdam. Adriaan has been helping businesses of all sizes achieve their marketing goals through effective Google Ads campaign. Thank you for joining us, Adriaan.
Thanks for having me, Navneet. Yes?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
Yeah. So before diving into Google Ads and your expertise, let's get to know the person behind the strategies. Can you share a bit about your background and what inspires you to specialize in digital advertising, particularly Google Ads?
Yeah, sure. So I started freelancing around 6 years ago after I had done a study in marketing, and that was specifically online marketing. So basically, even before I started studying, I had some courses and some lectures on digital marketing. And it was really interesting to see that you could measure everything, the outcomes. And yeah, I got to know Google Analytics when it still was Universal Analytics, and it was so interesting to see. And then also this teacher, he was saying that the online space and digital marketing is only growing. And yeah, he even taught us about how Google knows everything about us, our age, our gender, where we're from, what our interests are. So I was really like, oh, this is amazing. This is really cool. And this is going to be the future, and it's going to be really big. So then I started my study in digital marketing. And already during my study, I had to do some things in analytics, some things in Google Ads. And, I learned the basics around marketing. Um, Directly after my study, or even during my end thesis, I started at a company, and I was doing also digital marketing in that company as a freelancer. Um, that company had some ads accounts, and I also had done some ads already um, at some jobs before during my study, some internships.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that's basically how I started. I just got some lectures about it, and that's where my interest in digital marketing started. And then after a while, I got some chances to do Google Ads, and I took it with both hands. And yeah, I just started to learn everything. And when I started to learn all the things, because you learn a bit about Google Ads, maybe a bit how you should write copy, but it's a lot of learning on your own, right?
Right.
Especially when you're a freelancer. So I learned a lot, and then I was like, why I'm not sharing everything that I learn, and maybe I can get some clients when I share all this stuff. And that's basically also how I became well known on LinkedIn, by sharing a lot of stuff. And it's I'm learning and I'm sharing, so it's beneficial for everybody.
Okay. So this was which year when you took the course?
You mean just the Google courses?
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
you started with taking the course with your instructor. So when did you start it?
That should be around, that should be 10 years ago, I think. And then I just started to learn more the basics of how marketing works. The Philip
Right.
Kotler, he wrote some books, just the real basics, how marketing works, how digital marketing
Okay.
works.
Okay.
And yeah, 10 years ago.
Okay, so it sounds like, of course, 10 years is quite a time, and especially doing Google Ads and everything, right?
Correct.
Yes, right. So you've been in this space, of course, for 10 years. And what are some pivotal moments in your journey that really shaped your approach to advertising, or let's say Google Ads?
I think just finding the more advanced strategies, and there comes a point when you understand how tracking works. You install basic tracking, and then you find out that you also have these offline conversions. You also get enhanced conversions, for example. And around that point, I started to really invest in my skills, and I was like, okay, I need to understand these tools, right? I need to pitch this to my clients. We're still at a basic level. It's good to know the basics. That's You must implement those. But then I saw more advanced strategies that I could use. So that was one pivotal moment for me where I was like, okay, I'm going to start with server side implementing that. I'm going to start with implementing offline conversions. I'm going to start with POAS. So, and in the beginning, all these new tools, you need to learn about those tools, and it's a bit scary maybe. But after you have implemented it a few times, it becomes easier, and you get also cases about how these things work, right? It works for this company, yes, and for this company not. So in the future I will advise it to this company, and maybe for this company I would say it's a trial. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but
Okay.
we're going to test this. So that was a pivotal moment, I would say.
Okay. Now let's talk about Google Ads strategies and optimizations. Many businesses struggles with scaling their Google Ads campaign without sacrificing performance. So, what are some of the common mistakes you see people make when trying to scale their campaigns?
mm, the most common mistakes, I think, investing in the wrong products or services, investing in the wrong campaign types, not looking at the bigger picture. So yeah, just looking at your prices. Do you have good prices? Do you have good delivery? Do you have optimized your landing page, for example? Um, yeah, I would say those things.
Okay. Okay. And what strategies do you recommend for effectively scaling Google Ads campaign while maintaining a high ROI, especially for small businesses?
Mm, yeah, make sure that you have implemented all the right tools with server side tagging to get the most accurate tracking. Uh, then try to scale all your ads, all your keywords. Make sure you are targeting all your services. When you have done that, just also look at your conversion rate optimization. Look at how big the market is. So what's your search impression share? If you already have a high search impression share, for example, start with other channels also, like YouTube maybe, or display, for example, demand gen. You can try that one. But look at uh, how big the market is, where you are in the funnel. Um, Always try to get the lower traffic funnel most out of that. And if you can't reach that anymore, go upper funnel, or try to improve your conversion rate, for example, your average order value.
Okay. And what do you believe are underutilized features or tactics with Google Ads, and what are you feel marketers are overlooking?
I would say experimenting. Just done a poll on experimenting, and I think that 30 or 40% said that they did not use the A/B test tool, for example.
Okay.
Just try stuff, and I've seen weird experiments that worked. I've seen experiments that I would think they would work, they did not work at all. Try stuff with a small budget. A/B test. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people don't test enough, and even after 6 or 12 months, for example, just you can test something again, and maybe it will work because Google makes improvements. The market changes all the time, so yeah, testing.
Okay. So one of the common mistakes or one of the common complaints businesses have when they start Google Ads, they expect immediately that they will start getting leads or sales. So for a common user, does it work that way, or what do somebody has to wait time?
So yeah, this is interesting because you have a company and they have never done ads maybe, so you do not know what works. Then it's also dependent on the budget. For example, if you can get into smart bidding really fast, it's easier, of course. But for B2B clients with low volume, it can be really hard. It can take some months, 3 to 4 months, before you know what's working, and then you have to try different things. You have to communicate with them. That's why it's better to take a few months before, um, that you say that, okay, we need some months before this thing works, because I'm going to test a few things and you do not know if it works. So I had one client, and it took us a while to to get to the right keywords, to the right services, and then we got there, and now we're scaling. But this has been going on for 3 or 4 months maybe, and yeah, I was surprised that what worked, but now it's working. But you need to have some money to invest in those 3 or 4 months. So
Right.
that's why it's really important that you talk to your client and that you say, okay, 3 or 4 months budget is €1,000 per month, for example. We need 3 or 4K at least.
Okay, so that's a good advice. And with the constant updates and changes to the Google Ads platform, how do you stay ahead and ensure your strategies remain relevant?
You mean with the consent mode?
No, with the constant Google Ads, Google Ads keeps on coming with a lot of changes. So how do you stay relevant?
Yeah, I just follow the news all the time, and I think if people follow me, they will be up to date. But they can also follow Thomas Isa, for example, Joanne. He has a newsletter, Search Engine Land, Search Engine Roundtable. You need to follow these channels to see what is happening because it changes a lot of the times. And even clients can ask, "Oh, I saw this happening. I saw that happening. How are we going to do this?" Or even better, you can be proactive and say, "I saw this change in Google Ads. Demand gen, for example, gets lookalike audiences. Do you have a customer list so that we can try this future, for example?" And you can be one of the first maybe to try these things then. And it's also good for your own skills to try these things and to test them so that you can test them with other clients if it's successful, for example.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the small businesses, how we can maximize Google Ads with small businesses. I mean, a lot of small businesses are starting to embrace digital advertising, but they often have limited budgets. What advice would you give to a small business trying to maximize the impact of their Google Ads campaign with minimal spend?
Yeah, try to focus on what's already working. Um, Make sure you're spending your advertising money on what's already selling organically, for example. And from the profit you get from those products, try to test with products that are maybe not selling that well. But normally, when something is not selling that well, it has a reason. Maybe the offer is not good enough, for example. So, yeah, try to focus on what works so that you can make ads profitable. And from that point on, you can look into other products, for example, scale up or make bundles of products, for example. You need to be a bit creative with it.
And what advice would be if it's a service-based business which is recently starting?
Yeah, that's a hard if because if a company just recently started and they do not have a lot of sales for the services, for example, or appointments, you do not know if there is a product market fit already. Maybe there's not. So if somebody comes to me and says, "I have a new company, I don't know if this company is going to run or if we're going to make good profit," yeah, we do not even have that proof. So then you never know. I would focus on what he or she says is the best offer and just ask a lot of questions about this offer and how we can differentiate it from the competitors and how we can make it stand out really.
Okay, so sometime small businesses think that, okay, this is my competitor whose ads are working, whose landing page are working. Let's go ahead and copy everything of there. So do you think this strategy actually works, or is it smart enough to start like that?
Just copying your competitor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can work for a while maybe, but then you need to create your own lane a bit, I think. Um,
Okay.
I think it's not something you want to build your company on copying somebody else. But listen, if you can copy something and you can make it better a bit, then it can work. I do not. If I had a business, I would not do it. But if somebody wants to do it, yeah, it can work.
Okay. Okay. Could you share any success stories where small budget clients made a significant impact using smart strategies?
Mm, Let me think. So yeah, I had one campaign that I just implemented better tracking tools, segmented our PMAX campaign. I think we scaled at least the advertising budget with three times the budget, and then we kept the same ROAS. So that was a great example. But then also the company did not. I left the company I think a few months ago. The company did not improve their inventory, for example. They did not get new products. So maybe if the company also gets more products, then after a few months, for example, you can really scale it out, right? So it was still the same company. It was just getting more and more money out of the ads with better tracking and segmenting it down.
Okay. Okay. Uh, let's talk a little bit about enhanced conversion. It's everywhere. I mean, because of the reasons. So, of course, enhanced conversion have become a crucial tool for measuring the impact of Google Ads campaign. What are your thoughts on the importance of enhanced conversions and how businesses can effectively implement them?
So yeah, I think it's really important because you can track more conversions, right? And it also works together with the consent mode. Um, yeah, you can get better data. So why would you not implement that? I think it's just that people do not understand how important it can be to get more data out of the system, to know where your leads are coming from. And even for some small companies that maybe have a few leads a month, if it's
Mhm.
one lead more or less, it can already has a lot of impact. Um, yeah, I think just a lot of people don't understand it. Um, do not know
Okay.
how to implement it, and then there's no data layer maybe, and they're like, okay, how can I fix this? Um, yeah, there's also a reason why Google is pushing enhanced conversions so much, and they're saying you're getting emails all the time if you do not have implemented, right? So there's a reason why they're pushing this. Yeah, it's really important.
Okay. And how do you see the future of enhanced conversion and other measurement tools in Google Ads?
Yeah, it's really uncertain. For example, what they have done with cookies already, like they were pushing it to a new date every time, and now they're like, oh no, we will have cookies still. I think
Right.
we do not need to be panic. We do not need to panic because
Okay.
Google is a big company. I think they have a revenue of 250 billion US dollars per year with the ad spend. They will come up with something, and we will need to adjust. Google will make it as easy as possible because they want to get money out of the advertisers.
Right.
Um, I can see something still happening with the topics if they get that right. For example, they announce that they will keep cookies, but maybe in a few years that they have fixed it and they made it the model work, and then it's topics again or something like that. So um, yeah, I I do not think we need to panic about anything. Um,
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the future and the AI in Google Ads as well. Uh, Digital marketing and Google Ads, of course, have evolved a lot over the years. What do you think the future holds for the paid advertising?
More strategies, so more based on strategy instead of working in the account. Yeah, more automation, more assets. Google will focus more on upper funnel. They're already doing that with demand gen, YouTube. YouTube is getting a lot of new features, right? Same for demand gen, more inventory, and with the more inventory, we get the more assets. Like I said, more generative AI. It will be focused on that part also a lot, and you see a lot of changes now happening in that space.
Okay. And do you think AI and automation will completely take over, or will there be still a need of human expertise in Google Ads?
There will still we still need human expertise. So, for example, ChatGPT can't scrape everything. I think Google has blocked ChatGPT from scraping it, right? I'm not sure, but
Right.
I think they have
They
blocked
have.
it. So the database cannot be strong enough without that data, maybe. So it can be that ChatGPT does not have the uh, right data or is not up to date at the moment. So you still need to check it because sometimes I work with ChatGPT and I will ask something and it's still wrong. So yeah, we will always be needed. But I think companies that do not have enough clients, who do not can attract enough clients, who are not proactive and are helping business with optimizing, for example, which product is working and why it's working and which direction they need to take. I think those um, will have a hard time. So basically, the companies that are only focusing on working in the account and um, that do not get enough clients. You need to have more clients.
Okay, and have you been using AI tools like ChatGPT to optimize your campaigns or client campaigns?
Yeah, yeah, sure. To get more keywords, to get better copy, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, I use it.
Okay, and can you share any tips for leveraging AI tools effectively while maintaining control over the campaigns?
Yeah, always check it. Do not copy paste, and it's ask good questions to the system and you will get good answers. So really just go in the afternoon in your weekend or a weekday when you're free and just check how people are prompting, right? And people can write crazy prompts, and you can even create your own database, or you can check a database for somebody else. So you have the Alex Hormozy chat GPT, and sometimes I ask him questions like what would you do, and then he also asked me questions back like what is your audience, for example,
Right.
what is your message, for example. So try a lot of different things, um, and don't just go only into ChatGPT. Ask some questions, really try to see what others are doing and how you can become better in it and how you can become maybe an prompt engineer.
That's a good advice. Right. Let's talk a little bit about cross-channel marketing strategies. How do you approach integrating Google Ads with other marketing channels?
Yeah, I only focus on Google Ads.
Okay.
I only focus on Google Ads. I've done some Bing ads also now, and I've seen it work for some markets just to get some extra volume out of it. I think it's
Mhm.
interesting. I think you should always test Bing ads to see what it does. I have done Meta in the past. It's just a different platform, and
Okay.
I just really like to be all in on one channel to become an expert in that channel.
Okay. Uh, let's talk a little bit about advanced targeting techniques. What are some advanced targeting techniques you have found particularly effective recently?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's advanced, but using profit metrics with POAS, with the conversion booster also. So people, I I I don't know if they understand that this profit metrics tool also has a conversion booster where you just can get more attribution to Google Ads and that it can track more. And I've just seen another account with 10% more revenue that is being tracked by this conversion booster, right? And then I'm also using profit on ad spend, and then I can really be aggressive if I want and spend um, way more because the ROAS is not interesting to use when you have a lot of different margins, because the ROAS is really different from product to product.
Right.
So and a profit on ad spend above one is always profitable, and yeah, ROAS can really be different from product to product. So profit on ad spend, and I still see companies that do not use this tool, and even if you are not using it, you can still measure it, for example, and then see if your ads are even profitable, for example.
Okay. Okay. And how do you approach audience segmentations for different campaign types?
Yeah, so you have strategies, for example, that you can. Thomas Iso wrote a post about this where you can segment your customers, for example, and then you can make a competitor campaign. And if your customers are searching for a competitor, you can give them a special offer, for example. So I have a customer and he's looking for a competitor, and then I will show up with a 10% discount offer, for example. So that's really interesting. But also, if you know that customers um, need to buy a product after 30 days, for example, again, because it's a product you buy every month, and you do not have email, or you do not have their email, or they do not want email, or they are not opening it, make a segment for them. And then you can target them to display ads, for example, or search ads. But yeah, you do not know if they're really searching for your product. So then maybe display ads is better. And you can test all these things. You can also say maybe after 1 month they like the product and I have another product that they're interested in. And then you can target them again for that product, for example.
Right. Can you share any more tips for improving targeting without compromising user privacy?
You can, yeah, without targeting. Yeah, but you can target on different things, right? You can target on audience, but also on keywords, for example. So what do you really mean with that question?
What I meant is, for example, you shared that you gave an example of competitor targeting, competitor audience segmentation. So are there other way of improving targeting just besides that? When you are targeting your particular audience, so is there any other ways of improving your targeting?
Yeah, improving your, you mean target more specific for your
Right.
company? Yeah, you can test with lookalike audiences, for example.
Okay.
You can test with optimized targeting if you have enough conversions, for example, to get to go outside of your own targeting. And then if
Right.
you have enough conversions, it can be really interesting and it can work.
Okay. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about tools and resources. You have worked with several tools in your careers, of course, to enhance Google Ad performance. What are
Yeah.
some must tools for Google Ads professional today that go beyond the native Google Ad platform features?
If you're in Europe using comparison shopping service, so CSS, just for the sake of getting, you can bid more because there was a lawsuit against Google. Google has its own marketplace where they store the products. Then they were going into their own auction with their marketplace, and they will still get some revenue out of that. And then that was not fair. And then there was a court case. And if you are using a different marketplace, like for example, Actionable, Product Hero, you have a lot of these marketplaces. Your products go in that marketplace, and that marketplace goes also in the auction. Then you can have more bid power.
Okay.
So that's one tool I would use. So for e-commerce with different margins, use profit metrics. Then for offline conversions, yeah, I would prefer, for example, a good system like HubSpot, for example, where you can really make an easy integration. But if you do not have that and you want to work with Excel, for example, use Zapier to connect that to automate your offline conversion import. Then you have also these CSS tools where you can just optimize your feed easily. That's also for ecom. Yeah, really good. You have tools like Optio, where you can quickly get a lot of recommendations, and those are recommendations that work for you and not for Google. So
Okay.
they will also say cut this spend, for example, and Google will never say cut this spend, for example. So then you have that tool, yeah, server side tracking for your analytics, with Stape, for example, or taggers. Yeah, maybe I forgot a few, to be honest, but these popped up in my head.
So for a service level business, how do you build a campaign? Do you prefer something like Unbounce, where a lot of agencies try to build landing pages on Unbounce? What is your approach there?
I don't build the landing page, so I'm in contact with the company. I would say, okay, we need to change the landing page a bit. I think it's just um, uh, we need to A/B test, for example, or I think we need to change the copy, the pictures, for example, and then it's up to them where they want to work in. I've worked with Unbounce, then I had the Unbounce page, and it worked. It worked good. So I've worked with Unbounce, but then I don't make it, and if it looks good and if I can track it, then I'm happy. I think inbounds is good.
What is your take on SKAGs?
One more time.
SKAG, single keyword ad group.
Yeah, it can work. I think it's going to work less and less because the queries are getting different, longer. Then you would even need to make more single keyword ad groups. You cannot see every search term.
Okay.
You can just A/B test it. Um, but I think you have Hakakura, right? Hakakura. I think that's for most companies better, but you still have some cases where you can try it and test with it, right? So
Okay. Okay. And how do you think the role of PPC specialist will evolve in the future? Will they just remain PPC specialist? They have to think outside the PPC or Google Ads universe.
yeah, they have to think outside of PPC. So that's why I'm so happy that I got this digital marketing degree, right? That I read those books, and even after my study, you just have some basic books like um, from Daniel Kahneman, for example,
Okay.
Robert Cialdini. You need to have this basic knowledge of companies, how companies work, how they get money, how you can persuade people, for example. I think
Right.
that's really important, and then you can specialize. Of course, that's great, but you need to also think outside of the system. And like I already said, I think less time in the system and more time just analyzing the business, what works, why it works, for example.
Okay. And for those who wants to learn more about Google Ads, whether they are beginner or seasoned marketer, what resources or course do you recommend they start with?
Depends on how much money you have, what your skill level is, where you have gaps, for examples. So if somebody would come to me and say, I do not know anything about Google Ads, I do not know anything about Google, I would say go to the skill shop, learn everything there. And I would say, okay, do not implement everything that Google says, but this is just the basics that you need to learn how the auction works, because clients sometimes they will also ask me like, oh, we have campaign A and B, and are they going to bid against each other, right? That only one goes into the auction, for example. You need to know these things, right? You need to know how targeting works, how the match types works, that positive targeting, so broad match is different from negative targeting, for example. You need to know all these basics. Then when you know these basics, go watch on YouTube, for example, because you can also watch a lot of tech manager on YouTube. I've learned everything myself, and then later on I started to pay also for courses. So when you have a bit more money, you want to pay, you want to go quicker maybe. um, so this is the thing: when you learn everything yourself, you gotta have a bit more time, I think. When you have not a lot of time, but I hope you have a bit more money, then it's better to maybe pay somebody. So you can join the PPC hub from Miles and Bob, for example. But you can also just pay a freelancer and say, hey, I just want to learn from you. How much do you charge per hour, for example? And then he can tells you everything, why he's doing something, how you can do it, for example. And otherwise, just watch a lot of videos. Just go into. You can also just chat with other specialists. Just ask them questions. Go to communities, right? You also have the free Discord from Miles, but also from Thomas. You have Reddit, for example. And while you are learning all these things, I would advise you to document it and to write posts about it, create content about it,
Okay.
so that you can also get some views out of that and maybe clients.
Okay. Okay. So let's go in the final segment of our podcast. We're gonna throw some rapid fire questions on you, and you're gonna just answer what comes in your mind straight. So are you
Yeah,
ready?
sure.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So okay. So what's your favorite Google Ad feature or tool?
Okay, this should be rapid, but
Yes,
then I'm
this
like,
is
what's my yeah, conversion tracking?
okay. If you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting with Google Ads, what would it be?
Scale what is working.
Okay. What's the most interesting Google Ads campaign you have worked on?
Big B2B client in America. Order value is really high, but really low volumes, but really interesting if you get it right. And you can just expand. You start in one state, and when you can expand, it can go really quick because the order amount is so high.
Okay. What's your favorite Google Ad matrix beside conversions?
One more time, please.
What's your favorite Google Ads matrix besides conversions?
Um, yeah, it would be maybe search impression share to see how much you still can grow. For example, I think that's so interesting to see how much you're getting out of the market.
Okay. Who do you admire in the digital marketing industry?
A lot of people, but I think just Bob and Miles, how they created their own course and how they earn money with just creating knowledge. And I think they are the first one to do that on this scale. There were already a few creators, and they were really early, and I respect them also a lot, like Kirk Williams, for example, or the guys from the Adventure Media Group. I think they were really early, but then I think they did not scale it like Bob and Miles did. So I respect them a lot.
Okay. And what is the secret of having almost 100K followers on LinkedIn?
Consistency, hard work. That's the
Okay.
only thing. You need to be consistent and work hard.
So how much time does it took you to scale from 0 to 100K on LinkedIn
I,
followers?
I'm not at 100, almost at 100.
Almost. Almost.
Um, I think it was about 2.5 years of posting every day. I never missed one day. And now I'm just posting sometimes 10 times a day, for example, every day. When I'm sick, I post. When I'm tired, I post. Just showing up, and then you will learn, and it will take, maybe if somebody's really talented, it will take him only 1 year to grow. Maybe if somebody has a bit more, he needs more time to understand the system, it will take 3 years. But when you show up, you will get better, and you will learn more. Just be consistent.
Okay. What are the top 3 type of posts which you feel works best for you on LinkedIn?
So this changes because LinkedIn would prefer one. Uh, Maybe it's carousels this month, and next year it's something else. But I would say updates. Be the first one with a big update, for example, or create your own strategy or your own dashboard, and the free giveaways.
Okay. And by the way, we love your free giveaways.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it helps a lot of people. So I get some impressions out of it, and others get some knowledge out of it. I think it's a fair value to both, to the user and to the creator. So yeah, I'm really happy with giving away a lot of knowledge.
I'm sure it takes a lot of time. It doesn't look that easy. I mean, it looks easy, but it's not going to be that easy just to keep on creating those type of knowledge bombs, as we call it.
Yeah,
Right, right,
that's
right,
true.
right. Uh, Thank you for sharing your insights, Adrian. Before we wrap up, what's next for you? Any exciting projects or developments you can share with us?
Yeah, so basically the playbook is getting better and better. You can find it on my site, adriandekker.nl. Um, I update it every week. I've done almost over 200 or 300 updates on it right now. It keeps getting better. Because it gets better and it gets more value every time, I'll keep increasing the price a bit. And then I also have the paid newsletter where I will give away a lot of the the topics that I make, that I give away. I will go further into the news, what it means for you. So I'm working on those two things really active at the moment. So I would just check that out, and yeah, just make sure to follow me so that you can see everything.
Okay. Also, is there any final advice you'd like to give our listeners about succeeding in Google Ads?
keep testing things, keep trying things, never stop learning. Try to find that edge, and then you can also just use that edge to a lot of other companies. For example, it's just getting a lot of experience, seeing a lot of stuff. That's really important. Sometimes even maybe take less pay just to get the experience, right? And then you can later on get paid better maybe, and then you have the all this experience. So
Okay. Experience and experiment. I think both are important.
yeah, very, very important.
Right. And where can our listeners learn more about you and your work? You gave us your website, but any other resources as well? I'll
Yeah, it's
mention in the comment box below. Yeah.
basically my website and LinkedIn. I have Twitter, but I would say LinkedIn is the most up to date with just posting. I've also a free newsletter that you can check on LinkedIn. Also, so if you want to get it in your inbox, check that newsletter. When you follow me, you normally get automatic invite from LinkedIn. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, those are basically the main channels.
Okay. All right. And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into the Agency Insider podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Until next time, and Adriaan, thank you very much for being a guest on our show.
Thanks for having me, Navneet.